Are we live? Yes, we are live. All right, everybody out there, how are you today? It's Bob back with another interview, keeping pace with our Thursday evening interview series. So don't mind me if I'm talking slow right now. I'm just getting it shared over to our Facebook group. And voila, I've done it. So it's not that bad. It's just something I can't do until the live stream has already started for some reason. But anyway, it is what it is. So today, it's my honor, my privilege. We're going to talk to Jeremy today from the Commandos MC, out there helping out the veterans out in the area. And I think these guys are a multi-chapter club as well. We're going to find all that out. So without any further ado, welcome up on stage. We got Jeremy joining me today. Hey, Jeremy, how are you, bro?
Good, Bob. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. Thank you for coming. And so is everybody in the club a veteran?
So we do have two chapters right now, just because of where they are and the limited amount of veterans in those areas. There's two chapters that do have some civilians in it, but I'll say it's a very restrictive policy, but for the most part, like the club is all veterans, either serving or retired.
It's a case-by-case thing, sort of.
Essentially, yeah. So obviously, there's some areas in the country. We're a national club, so some areas there just isn't enough veterans to meet kind of those minimum numbers, and so there's a little bit of grace there for them to take in people who are aligned with veteran values, have some sort of connection to the veteran community, and to help keep those chapters alive and well.
So on my behalf and Biker News Canada, thank you and all the other members who have served for our country.
I appreciate that.
There's no bigger sacrifice a man or a woman can make. And we get talked down about our military a lot, and especially now in the news cycle now with the president of the States right now, he's not talking very good about us. But we always show up when they need us.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's funny. It's about 5 years ago, a buddy of mine, his wife's a high school teacher, and she had asked me, would you recommend somebody now coming out of high school and joining the military? And at the time, I said absolutely yes. I'm a guy with a grade 12 education, didn't do any college or anything like that. Joined the military, did my 25 years there, got enough, had job security through that whole time, made decent money. Got enough skills and experience to then collect my military pension, jump over to the public service for a bit, making more good money, until finally, yes, my body did give out on me. But for me, it was fantastic. Like, I don't know what else I would have done. I've got no regrets. And I told her at the time, too. I mean, any job is going to have the pros and the cons, the pluses and the minuses. So you just got to balance it out. The culture nowadays, I mean, I got in the mid-'90s when it was the decade of darkness, they were calling it, and we're in another slump now. Obviously, it's a political thing, but I still think it's a viable option for a lot of people.
Yeah. And it's funny. The only people I knew when I was in high school that went the military route were the guys that kind of had no friends and hung out by themselves for whatever reason. Which I don't know if that means anything, but it was never a thought I ever had in my head. And then I went and joined a motorcycle club, and some say there's lots of similarities there, right?
I would say, yeah. I mean, I knew what I wanted to do. I think it kept me out of some trouble in high school. But my grandfather was a World War II veteran. My father served, and it was just natural for me to do the same thing. I don't think my son is going to follow in my footsteps, but it was always something I expected to do. And again, I had a great time doing it.
Did you do the stuff like when you were younger, like the cadets and the Sea Cadets and the Army Cadets? And
yeah, I did cadets for a little while, and then I joined the reserves while I was finishing high school, and then coming out of high school, ran into the regular force.
Oh, that's all right. Yeah, and then I knew some guys went to what's ROTC? Is that the
Uh,
college?
yeah, regular officer or ROTP, I think is what it is. A regular officer training plan.
I see. And
Yeah.
then they do that while they're already enlisted.
So yeah, what they'll do is they'll basically join the military, go to school for their university stuff. Their summers are spent doing their officer training, and then once they finish their university, they're committed to, they have to do a certain amount of service to essentially pay back for that free university degree.
Oh, okay. But it'll give them some sort of something to fall back on when they drift into civilian life, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a very prestigious, and it's an actual university degree, very prestigious school. I understand. So yeah,
And imagine
definitely.
learning how to fly a helicopter or an airplane.
Yeah, I mean, so pilots are an officer trade, so they have to. I don't think you have to have a degree until you're a major, but certainly I'm sure there's some that go there and come out and do their pilot stuff. Pilot's another highly sought after trade in the military. So.
Do they pick you or do you request it?
You request it. There's no. I mean, someone may see you and say, "Hey, you've got some attributes," but most trades, pilot, it's something you're putting in for. I mean, I started out, I did 10 years in the infantry, then decided, you know what, I want to slow things down, wanted to start a family. So I remustered or occupational transfer, OT, to become, it's changed names a few times since I changed, but it's basically an electronics technician. So I did that for a bit. And then the end of my career, I spent 8 years in the special operations community. So I had a great career. Like, it was tons of fun. So there's lots of options out there.
Would they get you on some listening posts and stuff like that?
I did a lot of interesting things. We'll say that.
That'd be cool. Well, some stuff I know you can't talk about.
Yeah.
It's just the nature of the job, right?
Yeah.
And then I would assume people all understand that. I bet you didn't think I was going to ask so many questions about the military, did you?
Hey, you know what? I don't mind promoting it to it's who this club is and who it's founded. It's leaving the military, and a lot of us find it, right? Some people, the military is their whole identity. That's who they are when they leave the military. They're still, on Remembrance Day, they're wearing their berets and medals and stuff. For me, that was a part of my life. My medals and beret are in a shadow box hanging on my wall in my basement. I'm proud of my service, but now I've moved on to other things. But we still like to keep that connection and that brotherhood. And there's the stories of that's how some of these motorcycle clubs were founded, and it is really just finding a place amongst peers.
Even all the old 1% clubs were started by veterans.
Yeah, I know. I read an article once where there was a 1%er that was kind of disputing that, but I know kind of the story was, hey, yeah, a lot of these motorcycle clubs, guys coming back from the war.
Or it was a good recruiting point after the Vietnam War down in the States too, and all that. They really got their numbers like really big time.
Yeah.
Before it was just a counterculture thing, right?
Yeah, and I think we're finding it now too. I mean, the Legion's good and all. I know I don't fit in at the Legion. It's not where I want to go and hang out. I like hanging out with my brothers, getting on the bikes, riding. We've got a very similar background and just what we like to do. My chapter, we like to hit the road, put the miles down, ride hard. Other chapters, they do more charity type stuff, and it's there's different things in it, but it's still kind of that extension of the military without the military.
Yeah. Hey, War Gorilla, thanks for joining us tonight, bro. Much appreciated, much love as always. War Gorilla is from Las Vegas. He's a club guy.
Awesome.
And he does his thing down there. And I always welcome you to the chats, brother. Now, did you guys open up your chapters close to where there's bases, or just?
So the club's evolved. So this is our 10-year anniversary. So it started 2015, actually in BC. The idea came about at that time. It was started as the Veteran Commandos Motorcycle Club. Certainly some trials and tribulations in learning the rules and doing things right.
The club stuff, you mean?
The club stuff, yeah. So eventually it did allow us to become the Commandos Motorcycle Club. and earning that, or I shouldn't say earning the MC, but being
Yeah,
given
it's
that.
hard to get a 3-piece patch and an MC on the back anymore.
Yeah, and out of the respect for our the service and what we've done, we were given that honor. So we,
Which I would have assumed that would be how it went, but you still got to sit down and do your thing and have the conversation with the correct people and all that.
Yeah, and it's there's a lot of clubs out there that they just want to wear the VMC, and as anybody in the community knows, right? There's a distinguish between a VMC, an RC, and an MC.
Mm-hmm.
And we try our best to live up to those expectations, rules, protocols, and etiquette in the MC community.
And there's nothing wrong with the VMC designation, and there's
not at all
ministry clubs out there that are MMCs and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, not at all. And that's just it. There's clubs out there for everybody. I wanted to join an MC because I wanted that higher level of commitment, expectation. That's what I was really looking for. Other guys don't want, they wanted a little more casual, or they wanted a little bit
right,
less formal, and that's fine. All the power to them. There's clubs out there, organizations for them.
Yeah.
We are.
I come from a 1%er background back in the day, so I've done all the madness and paid the price for it and all that stuff. You know what I mean? We got Steve. Steve, one of your guys is on.
Yeah,
Steve from here.
Yeah,
and we got Steve from the States as well. Good to meet. Good. Thank you guys both for joining us tonight. Now, so. You brought up the legions. That's become a weird point these days. The legions, eh? So the one legion in Toronto said that they had been kind of overtaken by a motorcycle club, and it was an RC. It wasn't a motorcycle club. It was an RC.
Yeah, and I'm not sure exactly. So it was in Western Ontario, and I'm not even sure exactly what club or what happened. But yeah, I know they shut the Legion down with that. We've got a good relationship with our Legion here, and I know we've got a chapter in Western Ontario. They've got a good relationship with their Legion. We actually had our Christmas dinner there, so I think it's hit and miss.
Yeah.
I did notice we were in our local Legion, and there was, kind of a notice up regarding. And I don't remember the exact wording, but basically deferring that to the police to decide who was bad and who was good. It's one of those things. I disagreed. I'm very much a, let me do my thing. If I'm not doing anything wrong and not hurting anybody, then kind of leave me alone.
Yeah, let it be. Because, in Huntsville, they have the Legion Riders, which is basically an RC that's backed by the Legion.
Yeah, and I think there's
one particular Legion.
Yeah, and I think in Renfrew, just north of here, I think it's the same thing, the Legion Riders or something along those lines.
Yeah.
So I think it's again on sort of a case by case, area by area, who's ever in there. I know some legions may have law enforcement or something on their board of directors and decide that anybody wearing a 3-piece or an MC is bad. And we just do our best to dispel that, show that we're good people, and actually. Living up to what we're saying we're going to do is, trying to be there, help veterans.
So basically, well, you touch on that. That's my what I fine tune. You have to do a bunch of stupid videos and make an idiot of yourself for a while until you figure out what you're doing. And then I thought, we got lots of guys down in the States who are talking about, these guys from that club got arrested, and these guys from that club in Australia got arrested and whatnot. So I didn't need to rehash it. I don't like to perpetuate the story because I'm a past 1%er anyway. Yeah. So I thought my focus with this channel and the interviews and the people I pick and all that is to show the general public that most people who ride a motorcycle, and if they're wearing a patch or not, are good people, and they're doing a bunch of shit for the community that they're not doing. The people pointing the fingers aren't doing themselves. Let me catch up with the chat. So we got Tiffany. Thanks, Tiffany, for joining us. And Steve, what'd you do, Steve? You busted up your leg or some business, didn't you, bro? So he's busted up his leg, trying to get himself going again. It doesn't sound like a good thing. Oh, no, the rest is just hellos and waves. Okay, so yeah, that's weird. And then there's a little town down by me called Tilsonburg, and they had been running their bike nights out of the Legion parking lot. And then the two guys that were running the bike nights apparently were passing the hat at every bike night and saying that it was going into paving of the driveway. And then I saw some controversy where somebody had said, well, they didn't end up going into the paving of the driveway, so where'd it go? It's like, oh no, because then it makes them guys look like they're stealing. And maybe it did go into the paving of the, like, I don't know, I wasn't there. You know what I mean? So, and now, they stepped aside. Now there's no Friday night bike riding in Tilsonburg because nobody wants to take it over.
Yeah, it's you're always sticking your neck out there. Somebody's going to say something, or somebody's going to think you're not above board. It's definitely hard, and we've had organization refuse donations from us because we're a motorcycle club, and again, we just try and do our best to educate them and say, hey, look, this is what we're doing.
That's quite something, eh? They actually refused your donation. Wow, that's a bummer.
Yeah, and we just again we keep trying to put it out there and be known. We've got nothing to hide. This is what we're doing. We're helping veterans. We're
How you doing this, Corey?
Doing what we can to fighting all that noise, we'll say, to try and look after our fellow brothers and veterans.
Now there's lots of different clubs, associations, and everybody out there doing their part for veterans, which is great to see. I've seen some that are raising money for dogs, and I've seen you know what I mean, homelessness and all sorts of stuff. Now, did you guys have one little thing like that you focus in on?
Yeah, so our national charity is called Kilo 9 Elite. What they do is they pair up dogs, companion animals, companion dogs with a veteran, and then provide sort of some initial obedience training and like that. So nationally, that's the charity we support. And then every chapter usually has kind of a local charity as well. So for us, we've adopted the banner program in Perth, that whenever we do anything or raise some money, we'll give to them. We've had previously, there was a food bank, a veteran community outreach food bank in Western Ontario that the Bordertown chapter supported for quite a while. That kind of went under, unfortunately. But yeah, we're there, again, doing that stuff, raising money, raising awareness for the veteran causes.
Yeah.
But also just helping. We're out at events, we're doing stuff, and a lot of veterans, one of those things when you get out of the military is you really don't know how to navigate the system. Learning how to access Veterans Affairs and what's out there, what you're able to, what services are there for you to support you in that transition. That education piece is severely lacking. And that's something we found, especially out this way, that's something we've really taken on a lot of this past year, is just talking to people as we see them and just kind of asking, hey, like, do you know about this? Are you getting this? Do you need help? I'm seeing now some organizations where they're having veterans sign over some of their benefits just to help them do the paperwork. Like, don't do that.
Yeah.
I will help you. I mean, I will sit down. I will show you how to log in and create an account.
It's amazing how unscrupulous these people are out there, eh?
Yeah,
I was getting my benefits together for my autistic son, and the same thing. Oh, we'll do the paperwork, but then we're going to take, I think it was a third of it. Like, it was a big amount forever.
Yeah. And that's that's stuff the veterans earned. You put your life on the line, your body on the line. That stuff's there to help you, with those service-related injuries and stuff to carry on and be able to live. So
exactly,
signing them away, I just find it dirty, and so that's something we've been kind of quite vocal about and trying to bring awareness to, is don't sign over any of your benefits. Reach out, whether it be to us, the Legion, somebody. There's no need to sign away any of that stuff.
Good. You got two more of your brothers are on. We got Corey.
I saw Coco from down near Quinty area.
And we got Snoopy.
Snoopy from Quebec. Yeah.
Now, where you at? I think the first guy I made contact with was from North Bay. Is that where you're at?
No, so I'm in the Ottawa area.
Okay.
The guy you would have recently been talking to, he's down in the Quinte area as well. Right now, we don't have any members up North Bay anymore. We did a couple of years ago, but they left for their own reasons. It happens. So.
Yeah. Oh, so you're in the Big O. I like it. I like Ottawa. I think the last guy I interviewed was in Ottawa as well.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. I gotta remember. I can't remember who I had on last week. It's only a week ago. You got David. He's 33 striker.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, and then these guys were saying in the chat that to scam from a veteran is diabolical.
Yeah.
And well, there's a few guys that are on the chat fairly regularly that are veterans, and they got like it's a matter of numbers game. They got tons and tons compared to Canada.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's that's just see, and the thing is building a big old military like they built over the years. Look how much money of their budget just goes boom right to the military, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's one thing, for Canada. And again, I've seen the ups and downs over the 25 years where it was cut. Actually, a prime example is in 1998 with the ice storm out here in Eastern Ontario.
Mm-hmm.
We were out there. We were doing wellness checks, going door to door, and people, who are you guys? Well, we're the Army. We're here to help. Mm-hmm. Oh, Canada's got an army? Yeah. Well, what can you guys do? Not too much. Here's some blankets and, we'll check in on you. Yeah. And then after that, it really, we started to see an increase in funding. That was kind of the end of that decade of darkness, like I was saying.
The military defunding is working backwards. I think we need to. But as soon as you want to start increased spending, because buying a couple of jets is like billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And a few of those Black Hawk helicopters, like, woof. Right.
You start getting behind that curve and the bills just pile up and pile up.
Yeah. And then you got to tax something somewhere to pay for it all.
Yeah. Yeah. If we could find that nice baseline of, middle ground and just maintain that stability, it'd be great. But it's usually one of the first things to be cut in non-war time. So. Yeah.
Yeah. And then now there might be peacekeepers going to Ukraine. That'll probably happen later on this year. I would suspect that's how it'll go.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's a touchy political thing because of NATO and whatever else. They've had the guys training and doing that outside of, in Latvia and I can't remember the other country off the top of my head. Whether we'll actually go into Ukraine, I think there'd have to be a drastic change with NATO if that were to happen.
You don't think it'd be like Yugoslavia and they just roll in there and
because it's Russia? No. That's where it gets a little touchy, right? Because as soon as NATO gets involved, that's a major escalation. So.
I met some vets who had done tours over in Yugoslavia. They said it was pretty heavy over there.
I was in Bosnia in 98, 99, and then again 2001. So well after, 95 is when the Dayton Accords were signed and the war was supposed to have stopped, but there was still a lot of murders, a lot of house burnings and stuff when I was there. It was still not super dangerous, but there was still a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, a lot of, yeah. And with it, I don't know, you can get into wars and whether you agree with them or not, but when they're happening, they got to be fought. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
You got Bill from Thunder Bay with us, and Dom from Quebec came. Right on. Cool to see some people from Quebec. Right on, brothers. What was I going to go with my next question? I had a whole bunch of them lined up in my head. Yeah, that's a weird one over there in Ukraine because, like you say, all the politics have got involved. I'd like to see our country be a little more self-reliant militarily. Personally, I would.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't see any reason why not. But again, when you're good to buying equipment, because you're not going to buy equipment, like set up a new business and and start manufacturing and testing equipment, you're going to buy it from people that already make it, right?
Yeah, that was one. I'd seen some funny procurement stuff throughout my years where we had run radio system back in the late 90s, early 2000s that was in development for close to a decade. And technology moves so fast
Right.
that by the time it was released and delivered, it was already years out of date and obsolete. That's one thing, Canada's, we should just be, what's the Brits using? What are the Americans using?
Right. There's plenty of armies out there that we can just, yeah, exactly.
They've done the work. Let's just hop on board and buy that.
Now we're lucky that a lot of armies buy our GM troop mover arounders.
That's right. General Dynamics or GM.
Our General Dynamics.
They are a big supplier. That's a major industry.
The factories here in the city I live in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lots of guys have had fabulous careers in that factory.
Yeah.
The job security's there, the pay's good. Go to work every day and do your thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I had some friends that joined the Navy in Canada once. I think on a lark. I'm not 100%. Early 20s, they're fucking around. Yeah. Then they got in there and they're like, holy Christ, we had to fold our boxers into a certain dimension. So they did whatever the hell they had to do to get thrown out.
Yeah. Yeah, there's they're pretty, it comes and goes, but usually your first contract, they're pretty strict that you're doing your 3 or 4 years or whatever it is. After that, it's a little easier to break contract, but yeah, once you sign on that dotted line, it's pretty hard to get out of that first 4. So
they could always do it like they do in a couple European countries, and what is it called? They conscript you from 18 to 20.
Yeah, mandatory service or conscription, whatever. And I like the idea, getting people fresh out of high school or whatever, doing 3 years or something like that, because it gives you some training and some skills, but 2, it gives you an appreciation of what the military is and what the military does. And I think those countries that do it are better off for it. You learn discipline, you learn, how to work in a team environment, that kind of stuff. And I think the benefits are just, invaluable.
Right. Yeah. 100%. Of course, if I was 18, you told me I was going to go do that for a couple of years, I'd tell you, so what do you do, right?
Yeah.
Now, what do you guys down on the ground level think about all those guys up in those upper levels getting charged and convicted of weird crimes, eh?
Yeah, it's it's one of those things. I mean, and it's funny because I've got a couple guys in my chapter. One guy in my chapter who he was an officer in the forces, and I was a senior NCO. So very different. If you think officers as being the prim and proper, cheerio, here's my tea, and the NCOs as being the boots on the ground kind of thing, and just in conversations, you can see the different thought patterns and, how we think about things, how we do assessments. And, a lot of times I'm just like, fuck it, this is the way we'll do it. And, well, shouldn't we consider ABC or whatever? Yeah, but we don't have time for that. We're going to do this. So, yeah. But, some of the stuff, it's, again, with power comes corruption a lot of times. And there's often a lot of do as I say, not as I do kind of stuff, and even some shocking people who are very highly respected and highly regarded when they were in leadership positions in the military. You start to find stuff out that they've done X, Y, or Z, and all of a sudden, wow, that's not who we thought they were. Other times, we've seen a few of them, the generals that were accused and charged, taking it fighting in court and being found innocent. So
it didn't happen.
Depending on what the charges are and stuff like that, it could go either way. It's but the military is a reflection of society. So you're going to get the same kind of stuff.
It's not just a military thing. It's a society as a whole thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it's so much in Canada, but you've heard it maybe more so in America. And again, it's just a numbers reason. It's not because of anything. One country's a bunch of bad people. No, it's just a numbers thing. where, you know, a lot of females that have been through the military said at the end of the day it wasn't a very safe place for them. But
yeah, I had a friend's daughter actually. That's about 2 years ago. Asking, you know, actually he was asking me for her, you know, would you recommend it? And, you know, at that time, the accusations of sexual assault and things like that. And I'll, you know, I cannot deny that it's there. I mean, it is. Is it getting better or not? I don't know. I've been out for 5 years.
yeah,
But I'd said, you know, a similar thing that with, as a female, I mean, I can't speak to that experience.
right.
Am I pretty sure that a lot of that stuff is going on and happening? Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of the, you know, I hate to say it, the traditional, you know, back in the day, old boys and how we used to do things. You know, nowadays it's not, you know, that's the way things were. Now, you know, you can't, the society's changed. Society has different values.
If they think that there's no repercussions, then they're more apt to do something. You know what I mean? Like, I have a daughter. If somebody touched my daughter like that, I would have a problem, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think for the most part, I believe that the younger guys coming in are a little bit more aware of what's right and wrong.
Yeah.
Whereas again, even my generation, I think I was a very transitional generation. You know, from '95 to 2000. You know, seeing basically the end of the Cold War and that kind of stuff, the Yugoslavia peacekeeping into the Afghan war, but even how culture shifts from, you know, Gen X to whatever followed, Gen Y, millennials, and Gen Z, whatever it is now.
Well, we should be in an information technological war now. We shouldn't be buying tanks and airplanes.
It is the technological aspects are a lot of the stuff will blow your mind. When I have conversations with some of the brothers in the club about like online security and things like that, how to protect yourself, what's safe, what's not safe. Some of them get a little freaked out. Some of them are like, holy shit, you know, they don't think about it. But that's, you know, if you know the story of how they found bin Laden, you know, varies in one little mistake. And I always say it comes down, I said a couple nights ago, it comes down to the human factor. You know, it's usually the human that's going to make that mistake that you've got to, you know, opportune or take advantage of. And
what happened? The guy didn't swap out his number?
So I guess his courier used to travel, you know, 75, 100 kilometers away to make phone calls, make contacts. And I guess 1 or 2 days he didn't. He made contacts, made his phone call, turned on his cell phone. I think it was within about 25 kilometers of bin Laden's compound. And that just kind of further developed the picture they'd already had and assumed and assessed and really drove that as a target.
And they triangulated in on him and followed them until they went to the compound.
Yep, exactly. So,
wow, eh? Much like police work.
It is quite similar, very similar. Some of the stuff I did in the special ops community, working with the intelligence guys, finding targets. You know, we use the term find, fix, finish, and how we do that. It blows your mind. It really does blow your mind. And then, you know, even hacking and cyber warfare, I think, will be a lot of the future of warfare. We saw it with when the Israelis blew up that whatever it was in Iran.
How did they get that into them guys?
Simple computer hack, or the other one where they were blowing the phones up.
Yeah.
There's some crazy shit that can be done with technology, and this is the generation you're dealing with now that's grown up with computers and
the drones. They've really gone wild with the drones over there in Ukraine and found a lot of success with them, right?
Yeah, that kind of the drones and those kind of ISR platforms, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, are key. Really, I know, like when I was in Iraq, we had to have very definite target ID, make sure there was no collateral casualties or anything in the area. And we had to go then take that target package to a general, get it signed off before we could drop a bomb or fire a missile or whatever. So there was definite process there. the nice thing is we have that where we can develop it, grab it relatively quickly, and get it
I'd
through.
say it's better that than have like that tape that slipped out from WikiLeaks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and again, that's the other risk you run with this is one bad actor, someone infiltrates on the inside or something, and it can all go to hell.
I worked with a vet at one of the jobs I had along my life, and he was over in Somalia or somewhere in Africa, and he was telling me they were pinned down. They called in a Black Hawk to get him out, right? And the Black Hawk came over, and they saw the dudes that had him pinned down, and they got him with that Gatling gun thing. He said it vaporized the guy.
Yeah.
I actually started crying when he told me that story. He didn't like that story. I'm surprised he told it to me.
Yeah, things can get pretty gruesome. There's an interesting book. He's a doctor, but he was also in the U.S. Forces, special ops guy as well. David something. But the book's called On Killing, and it kind of gets into that, say dropping a bomb on somebody, vice shooting somebody, vice stabbing somebody, vice, choking
It's more
somebody.
personal.
Yeah, more personal, more intimate, and how that affects the, your psyche and
the psyche, sure.
So it's, it's interesting how, and different people react different ways based on experiences, how they're exposed to it, everything else. You never know until you're in the thick of it, how someone's going to respond.
Yeah, see, the closest I ever came was, and it's how I ended up joining the club I joined, as I was already a supporter and a hang around. And I was living with the chapter guy pres at the time, and I worked in a bar, and they came in the bar to say hi. They did every night, right? I worked every night, and they got in the beef with a couple guys in the bar, and they walked out. They go boom, boom, boom. They both got gunned down, right? And I was behind them, going out the door, and I heard the gun going off, and I shut the door, right? Well, I didn't shut the guys out, but I shut the door. I didn't go out it. And then I kind of had to, I was a strip joint. I had to switch the girls. But anyways, I walked out and found these guys. And of course, one guy's my roommate. The other guy's another guy. We all hung out together. It's a club thing, right?
Yeah.
And, we were all family. We all loved each other. And so, yeah, man. And that, man, just that one experience, it really changed my life for the whole outcome of everything, man.
Yeah. It's
like addictions and sleepless nights and waking up screaming and all sorts of shit going through your head when it shouldn't be there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The human psyche isn't really equipped to handle that kind of stuff. And that's, we got a little bit more stuff in the soft community with, mental awareness, mental agility, that kind of stuff. Then what you run into is then when you're done and you're out, trying to turn that stuff off and become more, I'll say more human. That can be a challenging. My ex-wife, she called me a robot. She's like, "You are just fucking cold."
Right.
And it was, that was.
So my ex-wife called me too.
Yeah,
like
it was.
When I got mad about something, my mind just went in one place, and that was it. Didn't matter, and that's where we were going. Whether it was a good outcome or not, that's where we were going.
Yeah.
Got some more of your guys. You got DK.
Yeah.
DK Speed.
Yeah.
We got RJ. Did we do Rick already?
Rick's PI, yeah.
Rick, right on, man. I'm digging it. Lots of your people are coming on. And we got Ernest. I interviewed Ernest a few weeks back. He's from Red Rum MC.
Okay, yeah, I saw that interview. I watched it a couple days ago, actually. Yeah.
Good guy. Actually, that was one of my favorite interviews. That one was really good interview.
Good stuff.
And now, what are your thoughts? See, I'm not even asking very much about the club yet. I'm always interested in other things. What are your thoughts on Blackwater and those private militaries out there?
Oh, man, in Afghanistan, that thing, it was huge. They brought some capabilities, some very good capabilities to the theater. They took some of the load off of the conventional forces with regards to securing certain organizations. But again, without a lot of oversight or kind of some ground rules, it can, it can go south. I've heard stories. I've heard stories good and bad. Well, bad, but bad because of them and bad towards them. Either improper killings, I'll say, allegedly, to them being sort of abandoned and left to fend for themselves. So it's definitely, it's evolved from. I remember back in the day being a kid, and there was the Soldier of Fortune magazine and the Mercenaries and stuff like that. It's almost becoming a legitimate evolution of that, where it's become a business.
That's what I was going to say. Is there room for a company like that in Canada? Shore up our defenses?
There are organizations and companies that are doing some work in that space. Not so much here in Canada, but overseas. Offering either advice, doing security assessments for companies, close personal protection for the company executives, things like that.
I don't think guys that were doing that protection, and they were licensed to be strapped, and they did all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So Canada, I don't see, because we don't have that large of a military. We don't have, we've got a very small special operations community. So we don't have the same, I'll say, caliber of people coming out. Or in the same numbers that would be able to, I would say, create a company large scale like Blackwater was. I think anybody, and I know some guys from my former unit and stuff that actually moved to the States because they were hired by Blackwater. And that if guys are wanting to get into that space, a lot of the times that's what they would do.
That'd be all right, though. If you wanted to continue your career, I don't imagine that the pay is like a bad thing. So it'd be a good thing.
Yeah, the pay is definitely good. You don't, your resources are based on the company. Your security is based on how the company is, who they can, make allies and interoperate with.
What's this business? They want to take us out of the 7 eyes or the 5 eyes. They don't want to share intelligence with us anymore.
So
who said that?
So I don't know. I don't know if there's something current, but I know. Intelligence sharing is a huge that's a huge beast because you've got sources, you've got assets, you've got things, and if you have a breach, and I don't recall, there was I believe it was in Afghanistan where one of the Five Eyes nations actually got excluded. They had a security incident, something happened, and they ended up getting excluded. So then there was a Four Eyes. I don't remember the exact what happened. I don't remember exactly what country it was, but it's a big thing, even amongst, let's say, my old unit, sharing information with conventional forces, or let's say RCMP is doing some sort of counterterrorism thing. There's a lot of checks and balances. You want to share the information, but you don't want to share how you got that information. Sometimes you don't want people to know that you have that information. So
your source is your source.
Yeah, it's like you say, it's a lot of like the cops and cats and mouse and that kind of stuff. So.
We got Warland joined us from the States. Thanks for coming along tonight, Warland. I think our next thing that we got to get sorted in Canada is we got to shore up our defenses of that northern channel. I still think that's the big reason that Trump's going on about Canada, because somebody told him how much money Panama gets per ship to go through it, right?
Yeah, it's pretty big, yep.
And it's a lot.
Yep.
It's like 30 grand or 60 grand for these big boats, and there's tons of them that go through. He did the math. He went, wait a second. And then when Panama said, no, you can't have it back, then somebody said, well, the Arctic Channel through northern Canada in the summertime is going to be the next shipping route.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things. People kind of write it off. Oh, it's cold. It's way up north. Nobody's going to go there. But it's a very strategic thing from everything from.
Well, who's our neighbor on the other side of the pool, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the early warning radars, the patrol flights. The icebreakers and stuff going up there, protecting the Arctic. And I think it's just a lack of comprehension or appreciation of what that means. People tend to live in their little cities and towns.
I couldn't imagine
and
being
they
up there
don't.
in the dead of winter. Could you?
I was up in. I get Inuit and Iqaluit mixed up, but it's basically the furthest northwest you can go in the Northwest Territories. I was up there a couple of years ago, and it's funny. I used to laugh when people say, "Oh, it's a dry cold. It's a wet cold, or a dry heat, or a wet heat." But even though it was minus, I don't know, 20 or 30, it was actually like it didn't seem that bad because it is a dry cold, so it was tolerable.
Sorry, bro. I had to yell for my son to get these dogs walked. When you move the check, what do we want to say? When you move checks and balances, you remove all accountability. Oh yeah, when you're talking about black, what were they called again? Black rock or black water?
Yeah, Blackwater. They changed names a couple times after.
And see, the guy that started it ended up selling out his part, and I don't think I think he did well, because I think that'd be the only sort of service you only need when there's something active going on somewhere.
Yeah. I'm sure he made it pretty good.
Yeah, Steve said I grew up in the cold, but that's great. And see, I never understood the dry colds, wet cold stuff. Now, I live in southern Ontario. We're wet as hell. We're surrounded by lakes.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's cold. It's definitely cold. Like minus 12 will always feel like minus 24 for whatever reason. But I lived in Calgary, and it was minus 30. I couldn't get over that.
Yeah.
I just couldn't get past that. I was like, no, I got to go back to Ontario. This is crazy talk.
Yeah. I was interested. Like when I was in Iraq, by the time I left in it's probably mid to end June, it was hitting 40 degrees Celsius during the day. But you weren't sweating. That was because it was dry, you weren't sweating. So it was just hot. It was like standing in front of a blow dryer. I tend to like my water just room temperature, and I, see a case of water laying around, go grab a bottle and take a swig and spit it out because it was hot water. But it's, yeah, it's different. It was tolerable. Whereas some places I've been, it might be 30. Well, look at Ontario in the middle of summer, 30 degrees, but you're sweating because it's so humid.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's true. So we got Indigo Dark. He's like, well, let's talk about the club. He's probably right. We've been going for a while. Let's get on the club. Let's put the web page up. So it's www. Commandos MC. We'll get you there. All one word, of course. Or is that what that says? Commandos
Canada MC.
Canada MC. Okay, I'm sorry. That's why I had a hard time getting it on the search. So Commandos Canada MC, I'll put it in the description when I go back through.
Yeah.
And so we got, of course, the About Us. So again, your main focus in Canada is the support dogs and that stuff?
Yeah, so our national charity is it's called Kilo 9 Elite. I should try and pull up. I don't know if they got a web page yet. They've got a Facebook page, but yeah, Kilo 9 Elite, which pairs up, again, companion dogs with veterans and provides sort of an initial level of obedience training for them. They are looking, I believe, now at not necessarily training official support or service dogs, but I'm sure they've got the contacts where they can kind of, if somebody needs a service dog, they can, know who to talk to and point the person in the right direction. We here in Twin Rivers chapter made a contact last year in Perth at the banner ride with the Canadian Veterans Service Dog Association. I might even have the card here somewhere. Which they do dogs for PTSD or an operational stress injury as well. So, and again, that's one of the things we do. If we can't help, we probably know somebody or have contacts that we can put you in touch with somebody or guide you in the right direction.
And then this on the screen is the banner thing that you were talking about.
Yeah. So the banner program, I don't know where it started. Yeah, I don't know where it started or what, but they take the pictures of the veterans that came from that community, hang their banner, have a banner with their photo and their unit. They hang it up on the street lights and during Remembrance Week. We organize
the way they do it, eh?
Yeah, so that was actually Christmas. Our chapter went around to all the old homes. So the same homes we ride by in September, we actually went and visited, delivered the fruit baskets and some cards to these veterans, visited with them, sat and chatted for a bit. So again, just going out and reaching back into the community, paying our respects to those veterans that came before us, and just helping, trying to
we're
look
running
after
out
each
of
other.
World War II vets. Both my grandfathers were in the Second World War fighting for Britain. That's where they're from.
Yeah.
Then after the war, they came to Canada. But my old granddad, he never talked about it, man. He just said he said, don't worry about the USSR. He said, our next big trouble is going to come from the East.
Yeah.
That's what all he had to say about it.
Yeah, my grandfather, he was a World War II vet as well in the Navy, and he would talk about some things, other stuff not. We never poked or prodded. It was just, we knew what he did. He was very proud of his military career. I actually have his medals hung up in my dining room there on the back wall. So.
Yeah, mine was in the Navy. I don't think he had such a swell time. He never talked about it, never seen no medals, and that was it. I knew he was in the Navy, though. Is that you guys again, yeah?
Yeah, so...
Do you guys team up with other veteran groups and help each other?
Yeah, we do. That's one of the things we really started to try and do last year is try and link in with the other veteran clubs that are around. So we've actually, we got a good working relationship with the Falcons MC, which is near Smiths Falls. So, we've done a couple of joint, had them come out for some rides with us. We plan on, they're hosting an event sometime in early May that we'll be attending as well. The Veteran Society as well, they come out to the banner ride. So the banner ride is there's so many organizations and clubs that come out to that, but we really are trying to link in and build up those relationships with the other veteran clubs in the areas and, working together towards a common cause.
Yeah. It makes sense, doesn't it? I find like I was in. Oh, that's who I interviewed last week was the Templars.
Okay.
And they do things for kids and abuse kids but they do a lot, right? They'll remove people out of bad situations and relocate them, all sorts of stuff. But and that was asked about them. You guys got a rule about bikes?
Yeah, so the way, and it kind of causes some confusion. So we describe it as allied bikes, meaning World War II. So, your Harleys, your Indians, your Royal Enfields, your Nortons, and ironically, a Ural from Russia. So it does cause a little bit of grief with some people. But that's generally
the Enfields don't go up to 1,000 cc.
No, and we don't explicitly state an engine size, but once you get out and get riding, you kind of see what we do. It's kind of a no-brainer that you want.
Well, I saw the other post I just clicked off. You guys rode all the way out to Newfoundland, eh? That's some miles.
Yeah, we did. So that was a blast of a trip. So we went out there. So Newfoundland, July 1st isn't actually, Canada Day for them. July 1st is more of a Remembrance and Memorial Day. They weren't part of Confederation until well after World War II. So they actually, on that July 1st last year, interred their own unknown soldier. So you may have heard of the Battle of Beaumont Hamel. That happened on July 1st and decimated the Royal Newfoundland Regiment. So that's why it's a very big day for them. The Newfoundland chapter, I believe this year they're starting a ride that weekend to carry that tradition on, a memorial ride on July 1st. So I'm sure they'll have something posted up for anybody that's in that area. But we rode out, like that was a week-long trip. We rode out. We got to St. John's on I think the 30th, the ceremony was on the 1st, and on the 2nd, we were heading back home. And I think we were, left on a Saturday, and we're home by the following Sunday.
Yeah, that's getting your miles in.
Yeah.
Give me 1 sec. Okay. All right, turn off then, buddy. And then what's this one? Oh, you guys do a bunch of traveling around, Petawawa, which I guess ain't that far from Ottawa, but like you say, that the ride out to Newfoundland, and you did a turn and burn. Woo.
Yeah, it's that Petawawa. I mean, for me, that's only about an hour and a half, 2 hours from me.
It's a nice ride.
Yeah, given where we are and the size of Ontario, it's common for us to ride an hour or two just to get to an event, attend to the event, and then ride an hour or two home. We'll go. We've done it. We usually do it almost every year, where we'll leave on a Friday, ride out to visit the guys in New Brunswick for their anniversary, party on Saturday, ride home on Sunday. It's a long day, but we just, we love being on the bikes and laying the miles down. We got a trip coming up out west this summer, and we're looking at generally about 900 kilometers a day. There's 1 or 2 days where we're over 1,000, but gonna be a good trip.
That's one thing that's the thing I miss the most about the club life was I really like riding too. I like to get on that road, and if it's a 401, so be it. I can go around cars and hit the miles, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'll take, and I don't mind. If I'm in a mood for twisties, I'll hop on my Sportster. I'll take the twisties, and there's lots in the Lanark Islands around here. Or if I've got somewhere to be, I'll hop on the bagger. I'll set the cruise at 130, and just. You
guys got some nice roads up around Ottawa to ride on too.
Yeah, the Lanark Highlands, just phenomenal. And that's, our ride coming up in May there. That's one of the things we do is go for a little ride through the Highlands. We actually had a member who was killed in the area. He was actually on his way up to Petawawa to pick up some new patches for us. So we'll ride out to his accident site, do a little memorial thing there, ride some more through the Highlands, grab a bite to eat, head back to the clubhouse, maybe do some biker games or whatever. And just, kind of enjoy the camaraderie and hanging out.
So you guys do a CH and everything. And I see that one guy said he was a prospect. So you do the prospect. So you do the whole MC thing.
That's right. Now, we use the term striker. So if somebody is a striker and they use the term prospect, their sponsor needs to get a hold of them. But
I was a probate in the club I joined.
Yeah. So, but we do have a striking process. Again, we follow those typical MC protocols and traditions. Come out, meet us, see what we're about. We'll see what you're about. Ride with us a couple times, see if this is what you're really interested in. If it's what you want, we'll put it to the table. Striking process is a year. You do that, get checked off, go visit, do what you got to do, and come up to a vote and see if you made the cut or not. So.
Yeah, man, that's good. Yep. And once you get into it, I'm in the process of writing. I wrote one book about kind of my life and times in the club, and changed all the names and stuff and all that. But it gives you an idea of what being a 1%er was like back then. Yeah. I can't say it's like that now because I don't know. But it was fast and furious, and lots of stuff happened real quick, right?
Yeah.
It was just the time that we were in, and now I've got it mostly down. I got to edit it up and finish it up. A book about the good parts of being a 1% club, because it's got its downside. The only downside I found was, when they put the handcuffs on.
Yeah.
Other than that, I enjoyed the rest of the experience. But I see you guys do the Highway Heroes. Where does that go from Trenton to Toronto or something like that? Oh, Trenton to Port Hope, it's right there. Yeah, so
it's gone Trenton to Port Hope the past few years. I know the first year I did it way back when it went all the way to Oshawa. The original organizers have stepped away and it's been handed over. It's now being called the Honor Roll. And I think it's going again from Trenton back to Oshawa to Tank Museum or Armored Museum or something there. So, yeah, that's another one we usually attended fairly regularly. I think we have another fundraiser for Kilo 9 that same weekend, so I don't think we're going to be able to make it this year. But for the guys who took it on, good luck to them.
Yeah, yeah. And I really found Kingston was an interesting city. I didn't really know much about Kingston, and then, you know, through the club I was in, we had once or twice had chapters there, and then shut them down, and then opened them up again. But it's got a really big, seems to be a military history, and you bump into a lot of guys that are still serving out in that area. I did some shows in a little town called Gananoque and met some guys who are in service there. Mark Stans almost did a year. Curious to what happens this year. A year, that's just a warm-up time, bro. I haven't done much more in a year, though. But I figured out you change your ways, you don't have to anymore. Tank Museum in Oshawa will be an awesome location for it if you've never been. Oh, yeah?
So that's where the ride, the Honor Roll is supposed to end this year, is at Tank Museum in Oshawa.
Oh, they do like a sound off thing, and everyone kind of hangs out with their people and their little.
So the Highway of Heroes one, they would start in Trenton, organize there, ride down to Port Hope, and in Port Hope, they had some entertainers. They had a big outdoor stage there, some vendors, barbecues, food trucks, that kind of stuff. What they're going to do at the Tank Museum, I'm sure there'll be tours and stuff like that, but I'm not exactly sure. I've only seen a couple of things on this new iteration of the ride, so but it sounds like it's still on. So good on them for picking up the torch.
I see these ones I'm going through are from last summer, but let's hope it's happening again this summer.
Yeah, so Fallen Jumper, that's usually around the Mother's Day weekend. It's kind of as close as to May 8th as they can, and they usually do it on the Sunday, excuse me. But yeah, back in the late 60s, I think it was, a bunch of paratroopers got blown off course into the Ottawa River and drowned.
Yeah, I remember that.
So they do a memorial up there every year. We ride up to that.
That was crazy.
Yeah.
A guy I knew used to work for, what do we say it was called now? General Dynamics. And he helped engineer something on the interior. There's tons of guys working on those projects, right? The first version that came out, and they're supposed to be amphibious, and they drove one down into the Lake Erie in Port Stanley, and the poor guy drowned in it.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it wasn't that amphibious at all, or it wasn't watertight, or something. Something was wrong.
Yeah, I know the old. We call them AVGPs, Armored Vehicle General Purpose. They were supposed to be able to swim, but there was quite a process to ready them for that. It was something I never did. I think by the time, because the vehicles were so old by the time I was using them, that I don't think they even trusted them to be watertight anymore. But you were supposed to grease certain seals so no water would leak in, make sure your drain plugs were in, and a bunch of stuff like that. So small mistake can definitely cause a bad day.
And yeah, so JJ Foley wants to know more about the Never Forget Weekend.
Yeah, so the Never Forget Weekend falls on the Saturday of the Victoria Day weekend. So I believe that's May the 17th this year. We've actually just got confirmation that the Legion in Perth is going to let us use their parking lot as a staging area. So we'll meet at the Legion in Perth on Beckwith Street. I don't have the exact number, but I believe we made an updated poster with the address on it. So it's there. So we'll meet there. Kickstands up 9:30. Again, we're going to go ride out through the Lanark Highlands, which if you've been Ride the Highlands website, you can see some of the roads and routes we're going to be running. We'll go out to the accident site where Kevin Lindsay was killed. That's a brother we lost. He was on his way up to Petawawa to get some new patches for us, and was killed in a motor vehicle accident on the way. We'll do a little ceremony there. Previous years, we've really just been there for Kevin. This year, we're actually going to bring out and read off the names of all the members of the club that have passed away over the years, because it really is supposed to be a Memorial Weekend, and we should be remembering everybody.
Yeah, memorial rides are important for clubs.
Absolutely. You got to remember those guys that put in the work and the time and the effort before you, so you can have the club that you're in.
Yeah.
But after that, we'll again ride through the Lanark Highlands. We'll probably stop at Law and Orders, which is an amazing burger joint on Highway 7. He's actually got locations Trenton, Belleville, a couple here in Ottawa, I think Pembroke, Petawawa. But he's a big supporter of the club as well. So we stop there, have lunch, and then we'll head back, we stay to the clubhouse, do some games if there's interest in the games, fire, some socializing, and then in the evening we'll probably pull out a movie projector and put a movie out off the side of the clubhouse and do that. Just kind of hang out, socialize, and pay tribute to those guys that came before us.
That actually sounds like it's one of your bigger weekends. It sounds like a good time.
It's an important one for us. It has, it's a challenge. You organize any event, it can be difficult. It hasn't got quite the traction we would have liked, but we're sticking with it. We believe in it. It's important for us, and all we can do is get the word out through platforms like this and Facebook, and hopefully eventually it does get that traction. And it continues to grow.
Well, you're 10 years in, man. You guys you've hit that. You passed the hump. I believe.
Yeah, it's a major milestone. As we talked about, starting a club and an MC especially, it's it can be a challenge, and it's a big learning curve. But we made it to 5. Now we're hitting 10. That's you're kind of, your foot's in the ground now. And we're looking forward to it, big national run for us. So it'll be good to get everybody together, celebrate that milestone, and just to be a part of that milestone.
Yeah. Have a nice big anniversary party at one of the chapters. Yep. Now, see, if these guys are spread across Canada, you can't do a memorial run and hit all of them. But you can get all the guys from your area.
Yeah.
I always thought it was important to teach the new guys the history of the club.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to learn the culture, right? It's and different clubs, different culture. Like we were talking about earlier, there's, our club might not be for everybody. There might be a different club, and our club might be exactly what somebody's looking for. But even people coming from other clubs and things, they may know the biker scene and they may know the rules and the etiquette and the protocols, but there's still that culture that comes along with it. You've got to know what the Commandos are about, what their history was, how they got, how we got where we are today.
Yeah.
So it's important, and that question comes up. If a guy wants to come over from another club or whatever, why do I have to strike? Why can't I just go patch for patch? Well, we get it. It's not an insult, but I always have the rule, and I play by it. If somebody really wants it, they'll wait for it, they'll work for it, they'll do what it takes. And so if you're serious about this is what we're asking of you.
Yeah.
Drop your cut, come around, get on the program, learn about how we do things, and then you'll have earned your patch. I think if you give anything away, it loses meaning. And other members can see that, and you may not get the same level of respect as if you went through the program like everybody else. So it's I know it's a touchy subject for some people, but we've got to maintain this. Again, we've got to protect the club, because one person can ruin it for all of us.
Right. I found in my experience, the ones that you just give a patch to are the first ones to quit when things get dicey.
Yeah, easy come, easy go. That's what I say.
They didn't have to work whatever to do whatever to get whatever.
Yeah.
So. But anyways, that's in the nature of any sort of motorcycle club. It's just the way it is. It's human nature. People will take the easy route if that's what suits them at the time, right?
Absolutely.
You know. Well, shit, man. Was there more stuff you wanted to hit on?
No, I mean, I'll just here to promote the club and get word out about our events and everything else. You know, again, we're a national club. We've got chapters in every province except Saskatchewan. Not a lot of veterans in Saskatchewan, but you know, if there's people out there interested, I'm sure we can work with the guys in Manitoba and Alberta to figure something out.
What's been your personal experience with like homelessness amongst veterans?
So it is, yeah. So it does happen, and it's kind of surprising. Again, like I say, guys releasing and getting out of the military, not knowing what benefits and what is available to them, and kind of falling through the cracks. And it's interesting at Christmas as well. We went down to Kingston where they've got the Homes for Heroes, delivered gift baskets to the people there. It's surprising, and it's something I'd never really thought about until you start seeing it or hearing about it, and it's it's crushing. Someone that served their country, landed on hard times. It's upsetting for any for any person, but to see it happen to a veteran, you really want to try and dig deep. I don't know if statistically, I would assume statistically veterans have a higher cases of mental health and issues and stuff like that, which really makes it difficult. And talking to the gentleman down at the Homes for Heroes in Kingston there, saying how, like they've got to have a hard line sometimes. They've got rules, and if you don't follow those rules, you're out. They're there to help, but like anything, you have to want the help.
Right.
But it's one of those things again.
It's always that hard loop, right, between mental illness and addiction, because they always walk hand in hand.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've got a plethora of fucking body breakdowns and injuries, but I'm adamant. Like I will not touch, painkillers or the oxys or things like that. I was actually seeing a pain clinic lately, and I told him that, like, I don't want to be fucked up during the day. I don't want anything that I could get addicted to. So what else do we have? They're looking at doing shots in my back and whatever else. But it's concerning for me, because that kind of was the easy button here. Pop these and you'll feel happy. And I've seen vets on pharmaceutical cocktails that
they give you whatever for whatever. They don't care.
Yeah.
It's just unfortunately money got, so it always comes back to, the pharmaceutical company's going to make their money.
Yeah.
And they sure as hell don't want you to get better.
No, that's I had never thought about it until, it's really that kind of take on it has come to light. It's, it's true. If you're healthy, they don't make any money.
Yeah, man. They just want to hide your symptoms for you.
Yeah. So
that's all they are. Well, listen, Jeremy, man, it was great to talk to you tonight, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
I feel like we covered as much as we needed to. And I'm like you say, it was my pleasure to get you on here. Just kind of keeping the thing going. I want people to understand that bikers, patches, all that stuff doesn't equate to criminal or bad guy, because in most cases it doesn't. Yeah, and you guys are really doing a big thing to show that, right?
Yeah, that's again one of the things we're trying to do is we get the same. We do get harassed by the cops a little bit more. Some provinces certainly more than others. Where they can barely wear their cuts without.
Was there somebody in your club that got asked to leave an establishment at a biker get together in Alberta last year?
Yeah, so that
it was.
So it was a bar. It was a fundraiser for the Veteran Food Bank. I'm going to get the name wrong, so I don't want to spit a name out and get it wrong. But the bar asked the guys to leave because they were wearing their cuts. So that's again part of what we try and do is dispel that. I mean, we know the cops' go-to line and the media's go-to line is, if you're wearing a 3-piece patch and an MC cube, you must have done something for somebody, or you must be a support club. And
Yeah.
no, we're good guys. We just want to ride motorcycles, be left alone, and help veterans. And
Yeah. And help
it really is that simple.
Yeah. No, it was good to meet you. And if I can this summer, I'm not on two wheels at the present time, but things change.
Yeah, well, the guys, if you're in Tilsonburg, the guys got a clubhouse out that way. So we can talk to them. They're doing their event, so like say 7th of June. So I don't know, maybe I can talk to them and see if they're interested. Might be something for a live stream or something else you may want to do.
Yeah, man, that'd be great. I'd love to come for a ride with you guys.
Yeah.
I didn't know there was one that close to me. Thank you.
Yeah, Strathroy is where they're located.
Okay, right down the road, man. Not far at all. All right, I want to thank everyone in the chat for coming and joining us tonight. It ended up being a nice, lively chat. And I appreciate all you guys, especially the guys from the Commandos that came along. That means a lot to us as well. And again, I want to thank Jeremy for joining me, and thanks for telling me about the club, man. I've never looked anywhere into your club or had any understanding. I know it was veteran based, but thanks for bringing it all out in the light and helping me understand how you guys work.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate it. And it's one of those things where when we started, it was stay off the social media, stay down. But you kind of, like you say, if we're not showing what we're doing, people aren't going to know about us, and we can't dispel some of those myths and rumors and stuff that are going out. So I appreciate you having me on for that. And
I'll never be one of those kind of guys who looks for a gotcha question in an interview.
Yeah.
We all know what we don't need to talk about, so we won't. All right. Thank you for everyone in the chat. Thank you again, Jeremy. And thank you, Commandos MC, for making this happen. Appreciate you guys and all the work you guys do. All right. Much love. It's going to get loud here, Jeremy. Watch.